And for more, let's bring back Tyson Barker, who joins us in the studio. He is with the Aspen Institute here in Berlin and one of our regular commentators on U.S. politics. Good morning to you again, Tyson.
Thank you.
I want to talk first about these so-called fake news awards that Donald Trump says that he will issue. What do you think he's trying to achieve here?
I mean, clearly this is a very transparent play to his base. The way he's kind of adopted or co-opted the term fake news, which was originally deployed for, Macedonian teenagers looking for clickbait to create money, or Sputnik putting out news stories that were truth adjacent, that felt right to specific types of radicalized populations in the United States, like about Hillary Clinton's health, or Pizzagate, that Hillary Clinton, the Clinton group, were running a kind of child trafficking ring from a pizza parlor. That was the original meaning of fake news, and he's co-opted that, said to his supporters, the entire mainstream media, what Sarah Palin used to call the lamestream media, is fake news, and now he wants to recognize that.
Truth adjacent. I think you've coined a new term there, Tyson.
Truthy.
You might want to claim ownership of that one really quick. I want to talk about, his claim, though, that fake news is a thing, that he is being treated unfairly in the press. Does he have a point at all? Not only in the United States, but also in Europe, around the world, for example.
I mean, the truth is that the media can be pretty tribal, and they do have, after having experienced Donald Trump as a public figure and as an aspirant to the highest office in the United States, they do have opinions about him. They do have perceptions about him that are kind of baked in, and everything flows from those predetermined perceptions. So he might have a point, but the truth is he's approaching the entire role of governance in an orthodox way, and that is leading to heavy criticism because people are used to, for example, people following ethics guidelines. People are used to divestiture from private business. People are used to, frankly, politicians at this level having prior experience in government, either in the military or as elected officials. These are all things that he does not bring to the table. Bringing his family into the White House as advisors, that's all new. So that is why he opens himself up to criticism. But the truth is that the media does have some pretty baked in, predisposed opinions about Donald Trump.
Something that people are also used to is a certain level of respect that always existed between the press and the president, which doesn't seem to exist at all anymore. Perhaps that's a bit of an understatement there. We're coming up on Trump's first full year in office. It's been about 1 year since the inauguration. Does it surprise you that he hasn't dialed back his attacks on the press? Because, I mean, there was hope among some. Maybe once he got into office, he would start to act presidential.
I mean, well, he said so himself, right? But just like the administration always says, don't listen to his words necessarily, look at his actions. And in this case, his rhetoric vis-a-vis the press has continued to be consistently scorching, frankly. I mean, he's called the press the enemy of the people. He's releasing this fake news awards this week. I don't think that we see any kind of change in that behavior, and his continued use of Twitter to kind of release invective on his target groups, the groups that he's trying to make the enemies of, particularly his base, continues.
Let's talk a little bit more about that Twitter account.
Yeah.
We mentioned, at the beginning of our piece that we ran that he's tweeted about 200 times about fake news, about the media. Is anyone still buying it? Because, I mean, when we look at his approval ratings, they're at a historic low for a U.S. president. Is this still playing to his base?
It's a complete play to the base. The base expects this because what they see it as is authenticity. So every time he does this, for them, it confirms that he's the man that they elected. There is a poll out today from Gallup and the Knight Foundation, which says that 42% of Republicans believe that when there's negative press on politicians that they support, it's fake news. And only 17% of Democrats have that same opinion. So clearly there's a qualitative difference in the U.S. public, and his base is much more likely to believe that reports against him are fake news than the other side.
Beyond the news, beyond the media, we really have to talk about truth and fact right now because, you mentioned adjacent facts. We also have heard about alternative facts. I mean, there have been so many terms
The
that have been coined
the
recently.
word of the year in Germany this year,
Absolutely.
2017.
What is it about the president's rhetoric, and what is it specifically about the media landscape in the United States, and perhaps the way that it has developed over the past decades, that makes it so difficult to determine right now which way is up?
I mean, the truth is in some ways, the United States is returning to its roots. You know, when you look at the founding fathers, the early, the dawn of the country, through basically the Roosevelt era, there was partisan media. The idea that that media should converge on kind of a set of objective facts that are presented by stolid institutions like the New York Times and the Washington Post only really emerged from the 30s to, let's say, the end of the Cold War. That was the period where respect for the media as gatekeepers of objective information was at its height. So in some ways, we're returning to that period where we had broadsheets in the United States that did propagate fake news, quite frankly, that propagated information that really validated the predispositions of their readers.
Journalism, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyson Barker, with the latest on this fake news awards, which we will perhaps see sometime today, issued by Donald Trump. We thank you so much for putting it into context for us.
Thank you.